The sun dipped low, painting streaks of orange and pink across the LA sky as Alex Johnson stood by the window of their sleek condo. The city sprawled out below, a maze of lights and shadows that seemed to echo the confusion swirling within him. Alex's eyes flickered between the bustling streets and the serene interior of their home. Sarah, his wife, moved gracefully around the living room, her laughter a melody that danced through the air. But beneath her radiant facade, Alex sensed a tension, a distance that seemed to widen with each passing day. As Sarah disappeared into the kitchen, Alex's thoughts drifted to their once happy life together. They'd been high school sweethearts, their love blossoming amidst the chaos of exams and teenage drama. But now, as they stood on the brink of their 30s, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. A glint of light caught Alex's eye, drawing his attention to Sarah's phone lying innocently on the coffee table. With a sinking feeling in his chest, he reached for the device, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and curiosity. As Alex scrolled through Sarah's messages, his breath caught in his throat. Hidden amongst the mundane chatter was a string of texts from an unknown number, filled with words that sent a shiver down his spine. His hands trembled as he read each message, the truth unfolding before him like a dark secret he was never meant to discover. Sarah's laughter echoed from the kitchen, a sound that now felt like a taunt, a cruel reminder of the deception lurking within their home. With a heavy heart, Alex pocketed the phone, his mind racing with questions and doubts that threatened to overwhelm him. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the room, Alex knew that their once perfect life was about to unravel. And as darkness fell over the city, he braced himself for the storm that was brewing on the horizon. The clock ticked relentlessly, each second echoing through the silent condominium like a drumbeat of foreboding. Alex sat in the dimly lit living room, his heart heavy with the weight of uncertainty. Across from him, Sarah fidgeted nervously, her eyes darting away from his gaze as if seeking refuge in the shadows. "Sarah, please," Alex pleaded, his voice tinged with desperation. "I need to know the truth. Are you seeing someone else?" Sarah's lips trembled, her facade of innocence crumbling like sandcastles swept away by the tide. "Alex, She stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't mean for this to happen. It just did." Alex's chest tightened with anguish, his mind reeling from the revelation. "Who is he, Sarah?" he demanded, his voice cracking with emotion. "Who's the man you've been sneaking around with behind my back?" Tears welled in Sarah's eyes, glistening like diamonds in the dim light. "His name is Ethan," she confessed, her voice barely audible over the pounding of Alex's heart. He's someone I met through work. I never meant for things to go this far, Alex. Please, you have to believe me." But Alex was beyond belief, his trust shattered like glass against the cold, hard truth. "How long?" he whispered, his voice hollow with despair. "How long has this been going on, Sarah? How long have you been lying to me?" Sarah's silence spoke volumes, her eyes cast downward in shame. And as the weight of her betrayal hung heavy in the air, Alex knew that their marriage had been irrevocably changed by the secrets that lurked in the shadows. With a heavy heart, Alex rose from his seat, his footsteps echoing through the empty room like a dirge for the love they had lost. And as he disappeared into the darkness, leaving Sarah alone with her guilt, he knew that the storm brewing within their marriage was far from over. The evening air hung heavy with tension as Alex and Sarah sat in the dimly lit living room of their condominium. The silence between them was suffocating, broken only by the soft ticking of the antique clock on the mantel. Alex's hands clenched tightly around the armrest of the sofa, his heart pounding in his chest like a distant drumbeat. "Sarah," Alex began, his voice barely above a whisper, "is it true? Are you pregnant?" Sarah's gaze dropped to her lap, her fingers tracing patterns on the fabric of her skirt. She took a deep breath, her words hesitant as if each syllable weighed heavily on her soul. "Yes, Alex," she admitted, her voice barely more than a whisper, "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog, enveloping them both in a shroud of disbelief and betrayal. Alex felt as if the ground had been ripped out from beneath him, leaving him adrift in a sea of uncertainty and pain. "And, is it his?" Alex forced the words past the lump in his throat, his voice thick with emotion. Sarah's silence spoke volumes, her refusal to meet his gaze a damning indictment of her guilt. Tears welled in Alex's eyes as the truth washed over him like a tidal wave, threatening to drown him in a sea of despair. "How could you?" Alex's voice cracked with emotion, his hands trembling with anger and hurt. "How could you betray me like this, Sarah? After everything we've been through?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears, her shoulders slumping under the weight of his accusation. "I'm sorry, Alex," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "I never meant for any of this to happen. It just happened." The words cut through Alex like a knife, leaving him raw and exposed to the pain of her betrayal. He wanted to scream, to lash out at the woman he had loved with all his heart, but all he could manage was a broken whisper. "I trusted you, Sarah. I trusted you with everything I had. And you threw it all away." Sarah reached out a trembling hand, her fingers brushing against his cheek in a futile gesture of comfort. "Alex, please. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But please, don't leave me. I need you, Alex. I need us." But Alex pulled away, his heart heavy with the weight of her words. "I can't, Sarah," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the pounding of his heart. "I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend that everything's okay when it's not. I won't forgive you for this, Sarah. I can't." And with those words hanging in the air like a final verdict, Alex rose from the sofa and walked out of their lives forever. Leaving Sarah alone in the darkness, her tears a silent testament to the shattered dreams and broken promises that lay scattered at her feet. The dimly lit room served as the sanctuary where Alex retreated to gather his thoughts. His fingers drummed nervously against the smooth surface of the wooden desk, his mind a whirlwind of emotions and plans. Beside him, a stack of papers lay scattered, each one a piece of the puzzle he was determined to solve. With a deep breath, Alex reached for his phone, the device heavy in his trembling hand. He scrolled through his contacts until he found the name he was looking for, his thumb hovering uncertainly over the call button. After a moment's hesitation, he pressed it, the phone ringing with a sense of urgency that mirrored the turmoil in his heart. "Hey, Alex, what's up?" came the familiar voice on the other end of the line. "Hey, Mike," Alex replied, his voice tight with tension. "I need your help with something. Something big." Mike listened intently as Alex laid out his plan, his brow furrowing with concern as the full extent of Sarah's betrayal became clear. "Man, that's rough," he said, his voice filled with sympathy. "But you know I've got your back. Whatever you need, I'm here for you." Gratitude washed over Alex like a wave, his heart swelling with a newfound sense of determination. With Mike's support, he knew that he could face whatever lay ahead. As the call ended, Alex turned his attention back to the stack of papers before him, his mind buzzing with possibilities. He sifted through the evidence he had gathered, each piece a damning indictment of Sarah's deceit. A knock sounded at the door, interrupting Alex's thoughts. He glanced up to see a figure standing in the doorway, a look of concern etched upon their features. "Alex, are you okay?" Sarah's voice was soft, her eyes filled with worry as she stepped into the room. Alex's heart clenched at the sight of her, his anger and pain threatening to boil over. "I'm fine," he said tersely, his voice strained. "Just dealing with some stuff." Sarah approached him cautiously, her hand reaching out as if to offer comfort. But Alex recoiled, his anger bubbling to the surface like a dormant volcano. "Don't touch me," he spat, his words laced with venom. "Not after what you've done." Sarah recoiled, her eyes wide with shock and hurt. "Alex, But Alex cut her off with a wave of his hand, his resolve hardening like steel. "Save it," he said coldly. "We're done." With that, he turned away, his heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. But deep down, he knew that this was only the beginning. The storm that had been brewing within their marriage was about to unleash its full fury, and nothing would ever be the same again. The air crackled with tension as Alex stood in the center of the dimly lit living room, his eyes blazing with a mixture of fury and betrayal. Sarah and Ethan stood before him, their faces pale and eyes wide with shock as they confronted the storm they had unleashed. "You thought you could betray me and get away with it?" Alex's voice was low and dangerous, each word dripping with venom as he faced Sarah, his once beloved wife. Sarah's throat tightened, her hands trembling as she struggled to find the words to defend herself. "Alex, please, it's not what you think," she stammered, her voice wavering as tears welled in her eyes. "Not what I think?" Alex's laugh was bitter and hollow, a sharp contrast to the warmth that once filled the room. "Do you take me for a fool, Sarah? Do you think I'm blind to your deceit?" Ethan shifted uncomfortably beside Sarah, his eyes darting between the two of them as he searched for an escape route. "Look, man, I didn't mean for any of this to happen," he said, his voice strained with guilt. It just happened." "Just happened?" Alex's voice rose to a crescendo, his hands clenching into fists at his sides. "You think you can waltz into my home, seduce my wife, and then act like it's all some kind of accident?" Sarah reached out a trembling hand to touch Alex's arm, her eyes pleading for understanding. "Alex, please, I made a mistake," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the pounding of her heart. "I love you, I always have. Can't we just move past this?" Alex recoiled from Sarah's touch as if it burned, his eyes cold and unyielding as he met her gaze. "Move past this," he repeated, his voice hollow with disbelief. "You've shattered everything we had, Sarah. How can I ever trust you again?" The room fell silent, the weight of Alex's words hanging heavy in the air like a thick fog. In that moment, everything seemed to crystallize, the truth of their betrayal laid bare for all to see. And as the echoes of their confrontation faded into the night, Alex knew that there would be no easy answers, no simple resolution to the wreckage they had wrought. The aftermath of the confrontation left Alex reeling, his mind a whirlwind of emotions as he struggled to make sense of the shattered pieces of his life. He retreated to the solitude of their bedroom, the weight of Sarah's betrayal pressing down on him like a suffocating blanket. Sarah hovered in the doorway, her eyes pleading for forgiveness as she reached out a trembling hand towards him. "Alex, please," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. "I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you." Alex recoiled from her touch, his heart heavy with the weight of her words. "Sorry isn't enough, Sarah," he said, his voice a mere whisper against the silence of the room. "You betrayed me. You betrayed us." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she sank to her knees before him, her hands clutching at the hem of his shirt as if clinging to a lifeline. "I love you, Alex," she pleaded, her voice raw with desperation. "Please don't leave me. Please give me another chance." But Alex shook his head, his resolve hardening with each passing moment. "I can't do this anymore, Sarah," he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil raging within him. "I can't pretend that everything's okay when it's not. I deserve better than this." As Sarah's sobs echoed through the room, Alex rose to his feet, his gaze fixed on the door as if searching for an escape from the pain. "I'm leaving," he said, his voice hollow with resignation. "I need time to figure things out. And you need to figure out what you want." With a heavy heart, Alex turned away from Sarah, his footsteps echoing against the cold marble floors as he made his way towards the door. Behind him, he could hear Sarah's anguished cries, a symphony of sorrow that echoed through the empty halls of their once happy home. As Alex stepped out into the cool night air, he felt a sense of relief wash over him, like a weight lifted from his shoulders. Despite the uncertainty that lay ahead, he knew that he had made the right decision. And as he disappeared into the darkness, he vowed to never look back, to never let Sarah's betrayal define him. For in that moment, Alex Johnson found the strength to let go of the past and embrace the promise of a future filled with hope and possibility. And though the road ahead would be long and difficult, he knew that he would face it with courage and determination, ready to reclaim his life and rebuild his shattered heart.